Tesla's Q2 delivery numbers was better than expected. Will this happen for Q3 as well? And looking at the data right now, it's looking like we're going to be getting near 500,000 vehicle deliveries in Q3. Not hitting 500,000, but getting close to it, which it looks like Q4 is going to be the quarter that is probably going to go over 500,000. I'll probably go over that in a later video, but in this video, we're going to focus on Q3 because the data is coming out, the numbers are coming out, especially out of Shanghai. There's a lot of good stuff going on. So let's get down to it. Smash that like button, hit subscribe if you guys haven't already, and let's get down with it. So here's my simple chart where I predict the daily production and the deliveries for every single gigafactory that Tesla has. And I would say this is like 80% accurate because, you know, when you look at, Texas and Berlin and even Fremont, it's really hard to see what they're doing because they don't disclose how many vehicles they deliver or produced compared to Shanghai, which they do every single month. Actually, every single week as well in China. So that helps us a lot. So let's go ahead and break this down, going through Shanghai first. And yes, this is available on Patreon if you guys want to support me there too. Link in the corner. So daily production for Shanghai is between 2,500 to 3,000. The past few months, it was around 60,000. Now, this was due to competition and not much demand out there. However, though, latest news in August, it looks like they're going to be producing 55,000 Model Ys. And in Shanghai, they do about 30 to 35,000 of Model 3s, which is, if you put that together, that's like 85,000 vehicles produced in a month. So it looks like they're back to capacity for August. And I do expect that for September as well, because I do expect the Model Y refresh to be produced sometime in the first quarter of 2025, around there. So they need to have a lot of Model Ys in inventory so they don't run out of stock. So knowing that, in August, I put 85,000 vehicles being produced. And in September, because it's only 30 days, 81,000 vehicles being produced. Overall, a total production of August and September is 166,000. We don't have July production numbers yet, but we do have delivery numbers, which is 74,117, which I put here in the blue. I did it like this so we don't duplicate the numbers when we do the total numbers to see what the actual production and deliveries are. And mind you, we are missing July production here. So we are going to get not the correct production number, but when we do get the total production number, we can guess what July production was until they actually announce it. So this was for Shanghai. Moving on to Fremont. Now, Fremont, in the first and second quarter, they were having a hard time ramping because they had to do a lot of hardware changes for the vehicles. Then you had the Model 3 refresh as well. So that slowed down ramping significantly. However, though, we are in the third quarter now. And I do expect Fremont to now so slowly pick up. Now we got tariffs coming in the US and Canada. So it looks like the Model 3s, if they do want to avoid the tariffs in Canada and the US, I think it's going to be shipped from Fremont. That's just my assumption, right? That's my assumption. So I increased the capacity here. Now this could be back to full capacity in Fremont. I don't know if that's the case. Comment down below if you guys do know. But I increased it from 1,300 to 1,400 vehicles being produced daily. And I gave every single month here 1 day holiday, just in case if there's any holidays or not. And these are numbers that we get. July, August, 42,000. And September, almost 41,000, giving a total production for that quarter for Shanghai, for Fremont, almost 125,000 vehicles. For Berlin is a tricky one because there's not much information coming out of there other than if there's bad news, But the latest thing we did get was that they can produce 6,000 vehicles weekly. But are they at that capacity? I don't think so. 6,000 weekly means they have to produce 860 vehicles daily. I don't think they're doing that. I think at most right now, for July at least, they're doing 600. Multiply that by 30, that's 18,000 vehicles being produced. In August, we can increase that to 625. That's nearly 19,000 vehicles being produced. And in September, we can increase that to 650 to 29 days, because 1 day holiday as well. Almost 19,000 vehicles being produced. Overall, just below 56,000 vehicles being produced in Berlin. It's hard to see what Berlin is actually doing. So if you guys have more information, comment down below. But Texas, we are getting exciting information about the Cybertruck. We are hearing that they're doing about 1,400 Cybertrucks, producing 1,400 Cybertrucks weekly. That's about 200 Cybertrucks daily. And if we add that to the current production of the Ys, that's about 800 vehicles being produced daily in July. 30 days is 24,000 vehicles being produced. In August, I increased that to 825. 30 days, that's nearly 25,000 vehicles being produced. And September, 850. I do think it's going to scale a lot more than this, but keeping it conservative, that's about 25,000 vehicles being produced, nearly 25,000 vehicles being produced. September, 850 vehicles daily with 29 days because of one day holiday. That's over 73,000 vehicles being produced, which is insane. Total production, excluding July of Shanghai, is nearly 420,000, which is quite funny, 420, right? I'm going to give this a 97% delivery rate, which is over 407,000. Total deliveries of 481,129. And if we add that to the little chart over here, that's about over 1.3 million vehicles being produced overall in 2024, basically matching 2022's numbers in just 3 quarters, right? And we got another quarter to go to, which will probably be closer to 1.9. I do think it's going to be over 500,000. Now, total production here in Q3. It looks like July production was around 65,000 for Shanghai. So if we add that to the total production, we're getting close to 485,000 vehicles being produced. So basically, in this little model that we have here, it's saying that Tesla's going to sell pretty much all of them. And that's what Tesla does. They sell every single vehicle that they make. Now, obviously, we'll come back and revise this next month when we have more information of how August is. But it looks like, based on the info coming out for August in Shanghai, it's going to be an awesome month. Now, going to the income statement or what the earnings will be, this is the part where it gets really interesting, because I do suspect that Q3 is obviously going to be a much better quarter than Q2. Now, will it be a beat? Because it looks like the street at the moment, if Yahoo Finance hasn't updated it, they're saying 61 cents. That's the EPS non-GAAP that they have to beat, which is more than Q2's. And in my opinion, I think they can beat this big time, and you'll see what my prediction would be after we put all the numbers in. So let's go ahead and see what I've updated here in Q3. And yes, this is available on Patreon as well. So for Q3, I did increase the average selling price to just below 42,000. And the main reason why is because of the Cybertruck, because they're going to be selling more Cybertrucks. Cybertrucks per each unit is over 100,000. That's why I increased it a little bit to 42, just below 42,000, but I wouldn't be surprised if this number even goes lower. I wouldn't be surprised. And if it does, well, that's going to, impact a lot. But moving on, credits, I put $500 million here. Now, I know in Q2 we got almost $1 billion in just credits alone, which was just crazy. But I like to bring the credits down, even though I do think this is going to be a high number as well. But I'm going to put $500 million here. We have $2.8 billion in services and other revenue, up from $2.6 billion. This could be closer to 2.9 to 3 billion. But keeping at 2.8 billion just to stay conservative. Leasing is a little bit higher because we are selling more vehicles, and it looks like we are going to get interest rate cuts next month. So I think this will increase leasing as well, just a tiny bit, not too much, just a tiny bit. I brought the vehicle gross profits up from 13.9% to 14.5% because they are producing a whole lot more vehicles, which they do benefit from economy of scale. Energy revenue, oh my goodness, in Q2, we had almost a doubling. It was crazy, and I don't know what Q3 is going to be, but I think it's going to be an increase of 25-30%, and I put here just below 5 billion in revenue and profits of almost 1.2 billion, which is just insane. It's crazy. Operating cost just below 3 billion. Now this would have been over 3.2 billion, but because we had the layoffs going on last quarter, the expenses or salary that they're supposed to pay those employees, they have already done it in Q2. Now it's just savings. So I do think they're going to be saving 200-300 million of just operating cost here, which I brought it down from 3.2 billion to 2.9 billion. Taxes of $500 million, other income interest of 350 million. Now let's go ahead and add the vehicle deliveries and see what the numbers will be. 481,129. Bam, look at all these numbers come in. I flippin' love it. First things first, we got a total GAAP gross margin of 17.3%, down from Q2. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Down from 18.1% to 17.3%. Even though the gross profits are more, it just shows you that the gap between the revenue and gross profits are furthering apart. But that's just in Q3, right? I mean, this is just all short-term stuff. In like 5 years time, when we have the full self-driving stuff and robotaxi, none of this is gonna flip and matter. Q3 revenue of nearly $29 billion, net income of $2 billion, operating margin of $7.2 billion, net income gap of $1.9 billion. So we're not reaching $2 billion in net income gap yet. Stock-based compensation of $400 million, a little over $2.3 billion in non-GAAP, which would give us a non-GAAP EPS of 67 cents and a gap of 55 cents. So if they're saying 61 cents is what we're supposed to beat, that's 67 cents right here. Now, here's the thing. If we do eliminate the operating cost savings, that's 3.2 billion, which I do expect in Q3, which would be around 58 cents for non-GAAP, which means it's a miss again. But because of this, I think 2.9 billion would make sense and 67 cents. We'll come back to this next month to see what it is, and we'll obviously come back to it once we have the actual official numbers of how many deliveries there are for Q3. However, though, that's what it is for now. That's how I'm seeing it at the moment. So let's see how that would be. Go into the stock price. So what would the stock price be? Right now, the stock is trading right below 200 bucks. So around 198, around there, that's a PE of 55. So giving it a 55 PE, that's a stock price of 196 and a market cap almost 650. So we need a PE of 55 then after the Q3 earnings to get the same stock price. Now, however, though, if the operating margins is 7.2%, which is very important, and we see revenue going up, and we see net income going up, and if we get a really good earnings call, I can probably see PE being as high as 65 in Q3, around the 230s going back there. However, though, we do have the robotaxi event coming up literally a month after that. So a lot of hype is going to happen, a lot of excitement. So I can see the PE going as high as 75 or even 80 until the robotaxi event to see what's going to happen. However, though, I am going to keep it around 65 just to stay conservative, or even 70, just keep it there because adding a little bit of the hypeness as well. Now, going to Q4. Q4, I think is going to be a killer flipping quarter. I think it's going to be the quarter where we're going to see over 500,000 vehicles delivered, closer to 550,000. I did increase the average selling price to 42,000 because of the Cybertruck and all that kind of stuff. And if there's interest rate cuts, I'm sure there's going to be price increases slightly. So for sure, I do see that. I see vehicle gross profits being around 15%, total GAAP gross margins of 17.6%. We see energy reaching 6 billion in revenue, or almost north of 1.4 billion in total energy, which is a sheesh flipping moment. I flipping love it. Operating costs of 3.3 billion, taxes $500 million, 350 million other income, which includes interest. We see revenue over 33 billion, which is absolutely crazy. Income from operations of 2.5 billion, operating margin of 7.6%, net income gap of 2.4 billion almost, stock-based compensation of half a billion, and net income non-GAAP over 3.1 billion, which will be amazing. And then we get a non-GAAP of 90 cents. EPS on a fiscal year below $2. Now, I'm pressing this a lot. I don't think operating cost is going to be as high as 3.3 billion at that time. And I do think vehicle gross profits would be higher. But nonetheless, EPS fiscal of 1.96 is actually pretty bad, if you want to ask me. But I do think they're going to pull a rabbit out of the hat, just like what they did last quarter or last Q4 of 2023, where they said that we had $5-6 billion of tax inheritance, which they slapped on. And if they do that, let's say about 5 billion, well, that's an EPS of $3.38. However, though, I do think Q4, this will be, or even Q1 of 2025 will be the last quarter of all the badness. Then I think it'll be going to the good stuff. Maybe we can get, full self-driving revenue, or maybe we can get the interest rate cuts, which I do think we will get. And, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I do see that the next few quarters are going to be, in terms of EPS, bottoming is happening, and probably because everything's looking great, right? The operating margin is going up. We see the GAAP gross margins going up. So they have bottomed and they are slowly going up. We're just waiting for that little confirmation and that little earning that comes out and says, yep, we are now doing this much thanks to full self-driving. Or, robotaxi event is pumping up. We're going to making this much. Kind of like an NVIDIA moment. We are waiting for something like this to happen. And boy, oh boy, guys, once something like this happens, we can see a rocketing in the stock. Not financial advice, but this is how this company, how the Tesla works. That's just how they are. What's also interesting here is that if we look at the total revenue in the last 4 quarters, which is the whole fiscal year of Q4 or 2024, we get over $108 billion in revenue and 6.9 billion in net income. I mean, the revenue is crazy, net income not so much, but again, I do think they're going to have a tax inherent loss that will bring it up over 10 or 12 billion. We'll see what happens in Q4, but I do think there is a rabbit in the hat that they're going to pull out. I'm very confident of that. Now, here's the thing. My price target for end of this year is 350. Now, that would mean a PE of like 178 or 179, which is just crazy. Pejjy, you're insane. That's just not possible. 178? That's a crazy PE. That's insane. But I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it. I'm going to keep it at 350. I do think there's a lot of things that haven't been priced in yet. And I do think near end of this year, if we don't have a bad recession, we could see a good bull run. This is my opinion. But realistically, I could see the stock price ending this year around the 260s. And I've been saying this for a long time as well, which is the PE around 130-ish.
Well, Pejjy, man, you're crazy. 130 PE? That is flipping crazy.
But again, Tesla has a lot of things that have not been priced in, or they're trying to price in a lot of things that they need to look forward to. And Tesla is a company that it's just forward looking. It's just forward looking. So giving this a company a high PE, even now, look, if the EPS in Q4 is going to be 100 or $1.96, right now it's nearly double that. That means right now the PE is over 130, 140. So it's not that crazy. It's really not that crazy. It's just, manipulated because of the Q4 tax inheritance. And I think we are going to get something like that in Q4 as well. But that's what I think what could happen in Q3. Forget Q4. That's what I think what could happen in Q3. Stock price around 250-ish. I think we can see it between sometime October and January. I can definitely see that around there. All I'm saying is anything below $200 right now for Tesla is absolutely cheap. I'm buying hand over fist, and I've been buying. Don't copy what I do. Not financial advice, but that's just what I do. Sheesh. But comment down below, guys. What do you think Q3 delivery numbers are going to be? Comment down below. But in reality, guys, this is a long-term investment. So Q3, Q4, Q1, none of this matters if you're invested until the next 5 years. Do the analysis long-term, 10, 15, 20 years. You'll see how crazy this company is going to get. I think Tesla is going to be the world's most valuable company in less than 5 years, in my opinion. And I made a video about it here, how this thing can 100x. Some analysts are saying it can even 250x, which is just mind-boggling. And you guys can check the video here on why that is. It's just insane. Subscribe, guys. Get your About the Dip t-shirt. Use the discount code RIPSHORTS to get 10% off. And I shall see you guys in the next video. I love y'all. See ya.